everyone, welcome to this session. So let's see what data types do we have in JavaScript. And these are mainly 6 or 7 data types that we have in JavaScript. So these are strings, numbers, booleans, objects, undefined, null, and symbols. Okay. And these are the ones that are categorized into primitive data types, and object is categorized into composite data types. So let's go over these one by one and we'll understand everything with an example and we'll check out the output. So I'll start with primitive data types. So let's start with strings. I'll declare some variables here, let username, and I'll use single quotes, and then I'll declare another variable, and this time I'll use double quotes, and then I'll declare another one and I'll use backtick. So basically, whenever you are initializing a value of string type, you can use single quotes, double quotes, or backtick. Okay, the data type is going to remain the same. So if I check the data type for all of these, so let's say type of username, it is going to be a string. You see, this is a string. And if I check the data type of greeting, it is still string. And if I check the data type of message, it is going to be string as well. Okay, so whenever you are initializing a string value, you can either use single quotes, double quotes, or backtick. And if you remember, we have previously talked about it that you can use template literal when you are using the backtick. So for example, if I want to append the values from here, I can do that. So here, for example, hello, and then I'll use dollar sign and curly brackets, and then here I can give username, and then I can also append the greeting as well. And let's console this message and save this. So you see, you're seeing the values over here, right? In string class, there are inbuilt functions that you can use for doing certain things. So for example, I'm not going to discuss all of them, but I'll show you few of them. So for example, I'll log this. So username, and then there is a function called to uppercase, and you need to use parentheses as well. And if you save this, you see everything got converted into uppercase, whatever the value we had in username. And similarly, we have some other methods as well. So let me show you how you can identify the length, how you can check out the length. So if I save this, see, it is giving me the length for the username. And also there's one more that I want to show you. So let's say username dot includes, if I want to check if a particular alphabet or combination of alphabets exist in username or not. So here I'll give any value. So let's say if I give A, then it should return me false because there is no A in John, right? And if I provide O, for example, and do this, then you can see that it is true. All right, so you can check out other methods of string class as well. Just Google and check all of them. It's really a long list. There are a lot of them, but I think for now, this much is enough. So just remember that whenever you are initializing a string value, you can either use single quotes, double quotes, or backtick. Now let's move on to numbers. So I'll declare a few variables. Let age is equals to 30. Let price is equals to, let's say, 100.01. And then I'll also declare a big number, and let's give it a value as 2E9 or something like that. Now, if I check the type of all these three, so type of age, it will be a number. And if I check the type of the other, right, the decimal value, the floating value, type of, and this will still be a number. And even if I check the data type of the big number, it will still be a number. Okay, so no matter how you're defining a number value, it could be a big number, it could be a decimal value, or it could be a plain number, the data type is still going to be a number. The next one is boolean. So any boolean data type will either hold a value as true or it will hold a value as false. So let me declare a variable. So let's say is student, and here I'll give it as true. And if I give let has ID, I give it as false. And now let me check the data type for these two. So both of them, right, because they are holding either false or true, then it is going to give me the data type as boolean. So let's just check this out. Type of is student, it should be boolean. And if I check the type of the other one, so log, and type of has ID, this will also be boolean. But let's say if the moment I make it string, right, so let's say if I make it string, then it will become a string data type, correct? But till it holds a value of true or false, it will consider, JavaScript will consider it as a boolean data type. All right, now the next one is undefined. So whenever you define a value, okay, let me just type it over here, undefined. So whenever you define a value but not initialized, that is when you get the data type as undefined. So if I declare a variable here and I'm not initializing it to anything, okay, I'll just leave it like this. And then if I check the data type of address, then it will show me undefined. But let's say if I declare something here, anything, right, then of course, whatever the type is, it will show me the type. But if there's nothing which has been assigned, if it's not initialized, right, then it will show me undefined. Now there's one more, which is null. Okay, so null is something which user keeps intentional. Okay, so it is intentional initialization. So if I declare a variable, let's say let emp str or something like that, okay, and if I initialize is as null, and let me log this value first. I want want to show you something that is very quirky in JavaScript, you can say. So emp star, and then if I save it, you see the value which it shows is null because I have initialized it as null. But if I check the data type for this, okay, type of this, then it will show me object, correct? But that's how it is in JavaScript. So if you have even intentionally initialized a variable as null, it will log you the value as null. But if you check the data type, it is going to be object data type. Now let's discuss symbols. So symbols is something which is used in libraries or APIs to kind of keep the properties unique. Okay, so it will be, you can say that it is a unique identifier and immutable. That means it cannot change. So you won't see this very commonly, okay, but I'll just give you an example. So I'll create few symbols. So let's say if I'm creating symbol 1, and the syntax for creating symbol is this, and then inside this you need to give a symbol name. So symbol 1, let's say, okay, and then I can create another one, let's symbol 2, and then I'll give it a name as symbol, or you can keep this name as same, no problem with it, okay, it is still going to be valid, but these will be unique. So if I check the data type for these two, I'm not going very much into detail for this one. So type of symbol 1, if I check this, then see it is symbol, and if I check the type of the other one, this is also symbol. Now let's move to composite data types and check out the objects. So in object, you always assign the value as key value pair. Okay, so let me give you an example. So let's say I want to declare this variable, and then the values that I'll assign will be in key value pairs. So what are the properties that a student can have? It can have first name, and then you need to put a colon and then give the value. So let's say if I give John, and then you need to separate the properties with a comma. Then what other property can it have? Last name, and then separate it with a comma. And again, this is because this is a string, right? String values. So you can either use single quotes or double quotes, doesn't matter. Okay. And what other property can it have? It can have age, and then we can also take some boolean. So is student, here you can give it as true. So this is how you create an object. You declare a variable, and then this is how you assign the values. You need to assign the values in key value pairs. So for this particular attribute, this is the key and this is the value. This one, this is the key, value, key, value, key, and value. And then when you want to access these values, this is how you do it. So I'll just log it. So if I want to log the student name, so you need to type in the variable name first, then dot key name. Okay, so first name, and then if I save this, you see I get the first name. Similarly, if I want to print the last name, I can print the last name. Okay, and if I want to see the age, I can see the age. And if I want to check if whether this particular property is true or false, I can check that as well. Okay, and the object can be nested as well. So for example, if I want to include address, so I'll type in address, and then because address itself will have different properties, right? And again, I need to give those properties as key value pair. So I'll start another curly braces here, and here I'll give, let's say, city name. So let's say New York, and then let's say postal code, give it any value, and let's now try to access city name and postal code. So if you want to do this, you cannot directly type in something like this. So for example, let's say console.log, and if I do this, right, student.city name, it won't show anything, okay, undefined, because you have another node in between. So you need to type student.address.city name. Okay, so this is how you access the values, key or values of a nested object. Now if you want to update any of these values, that also you can do. So we have age here, right? So if I type in age is equals to, let's say 30, let's see if we can directly do this. Okay, and if I save this, let me first print the age. If I save this, it is still 20, right? You cannot directly just type in the variable name, assign the value. You need to type student.age and then save this, and now the value is 30, right? So the student had the age value as 20, and then you accessed that key, right, student.age, and you have updated the value from 20 to 30. And then when you check the value here, student.age, it shows you the updated value. Now let's check arrays. This is ordered list objects. Okay, so let me show you how you can define an array. So you first start declaring the array, and here let's say if I take it as fruits, then you need to put square brackets, and under square brackets you have to put the values. So put the square brackets, and inside that you need to define the values. So let's say if I take few values over here, apple, orange, here also you can either use single quotes or double quotes. Okay, now let's check the type of this variable. So log type of fruits. So this will show you object, because the data type of array is still object. Array is just an ordered list object. Okay, so the data type will still be object. And how do you access the elements of array? So these have indexing. Okay, so let's say if I print this log and then fruits, and if I save this, here you see that it has indexing and it starts with 0. So 0, 1, 2. So what is the index position of the first element? It's 0. Then the index position of second element, it's 1. Index position of third element is 2. And that is how exactly how you access access these elements. So let's say if I want to access this element, right? So what will I do? I'll go here, log, and then fruits, and then we'll put curly brackets, and here you need to mention the position. So 0, 1. So if I do 1, then I should be able to see this element. So if I save this, you see we got this element, right? So you need to access the elements by their index value. So these were the common data types that we have in JavaScript. If there's anything that you did not understand, don't worry about it. We are anyway going to get to those topics wherein we discuss all of these things in detail, but this was just to give you the basic idea of what are the data types that we have in JavaScript and what is the meaning of them and how you can actually create and access them. All right, so that's it for now, and I'll see you in the next one.